In the gloom of an ancient shop nestled in the heart of a forgotten alley, Julian stumbled upon his next obsession. The air was thick with the scent of must and decay, a palpable cloak that seemed to drape over every curious artifact nestled within. It was here, amidst the clutter of the arcane and the mystical, that his eyes fell upon a collection of masks. They were perched atop a shelf, half hidden in shadow, each face a testament to some long-lost culture, their expressions ranging from serene to grotesquely twisted in silent screams. Julian, a collector of the rare and the bizarre, felt an immediate pull towards these masks. The shopkeeper, a wizened figure whose eyes seemed to hold centuries of secrets, watched silently as Julian's hands reached out, almost of their own accord, to caress the nearest mask. It was a visage of horror, mouth agape in an eternal cry of despair. The shopkeeper's voice, when it finally came, was a rasp. They say the masks are cursed, that they can change the one who wears them. The warning only served to pique Julian's interest further. He was no stranger to the cursed and the haunted. His collection boasted items that many would dare not touch. Yet, there was an allure to these masks that he found irresistible. Without hesitation, he purchased them. The shopkeeper's final words a mere whisper lost in the wind: beware. The mask that chooses you. Julian's home was a mansion teetering on the edge of ruin, its grandeur faded. Much like the man himself, once vibrant and full of life, both had succumbed to the shadows of isolation and eccentricity. It was here, in a room reserved for his most prized possessions, that Julian brought the masks. Under the dim light of a single lamp, he arranged them carefully, their eerie gazes fixed upon him as if watching, waiting. Days slipped into nights, and Julian found himself increasingly drawn to the room, to the masks. He began to wear them, one by one, each transformation more profound than the last. At first, it was exhilarating, the sensation of becoming someone, something else was intoxicating. With each mask, he felt a rush of emotions, of memories that were not his own, a connection to a world beyond his understanding. But as the days blurred into a singular, endless night, Julian began to notice changes that were not just psychological. His skin, once beneath the masks, started to morph, to adhere to their contours and textures. The first time he struggled to remove a mask, panic clawed at his throat. It felt as if his very flesh had fused with the ancient artifact, creating a bond that was both terrifying and absolute. The horror of his situation became fully apparent when he finally managed to tear the mask away, leaving his skin raw and bleeding. The face that stared back at him from the mirror was not his own, but a grotesque mimicry of the mask he had just worn. Panic turned to obsession as Julian frantically began to research the masks, poring over ancient texts and forbidden lore, seeking a way to undo the curse he had so carelessly embraced. It was during one such frenzied study session that Julian discovered the true horror of his predicament. The masks were not merely cursed, they were alive. Sentient beings trapped in a form of stasis, their consciousnesses bound and tormented. To wear a mask was to invite that entity to consume one's identity, to gradually replace the wearer until nothing of the original remained. With each mask he tried, desperate to find one that might reverse the changes, Julian felt himself slipping further away, his very essence being eroded by the malevolent spirits he had unwittingly unleashed. His home, once a sanctuary, now felt like a prison, the masks his jailers. each one watching him with malevolent anticipation. The climax of Julian's terror came one stormy night when, in a fit of madness, he donned the last mask, the one that had first caught his eye, the visage of eternal despair. The transformation was immediate and all-consuming. Julian's screams filled the mansion as the entity within the mask merged with him, erasing all traces of the man he once was. When the sun rose, the mansion was silent. The masks, once a proud display of Julian's obsession, now lay scattered, their purpose fulfilled. In the center of the room, where Julian had last stood, there was nothing but a single mask, its expression one of serene triumph. The resolution of Julian's tragic tale came not from the man himself, for he was no more, but from the whispered warnings of those who still dared to venture into that ancient shop. The shopkeeper, ever watchful, would sometimes speak of the collector who sought to possess that which was never meant to be owned. And in the heart of that forgotten alley, the masks wait, their hunger undiminished, for the next curious soul to wander in, drawn by the allure of the unknown. The true horror of Julian's fate was not in the transformation but in the realization that some obsessions lead not to enlightenment, but to eternal damnation.